I think we got to start with Nvidia. So much attention on Nvidia. I thought this was interesting. We saw what appeared to be some profit taking on Nvidia yesterday, but you say, according to the options market, there's the most bullish exuberance we've seen since May of 2023.
That's right, Frank. And if you remember what happened in May of 2023, shares were up about 24% on that earnings, which I would argue probably kicked off the AI frenzy. You're actually seeing that level of call exuberance in the options market now, very similar to back in May. And I think part of it is just that the right tail is your new left tail. This is what people are afraid of. They're afraid of missing out. They're afraid of that FOMO. They got to dip one toe in the pool. And one way to do that is through options.
Yeah, FOMO, it's really been powering this market a lot of times when people thought a lot of these stocks were too richly valued. I want to talk to you about another Magnificent Seven name, Amazon, joining the Dow Jones Industrial Average. But the thing I want to talk to you about is what happens when companies go into the Dow. I'm going to show the audience right now. This is a board with a number of companies that joined the Dow back in August of 2020. They include Salesforce, Honeywell, and Amgen. And you see they've actually kind of underperformed since then. What do you make of Amazon joining the Dow? Obviously, it doesn't mean anything for the fundamentals of the company, but what does that say to you?
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I agree with you. Look, it may not mean anything to the fundamentals, but if you remember back to when Tesla did its share split, that also shouldn't have done anything to the fundamentals, but it did. And I think this is the same type of thing where, we live in a world where passive investing is very important, index inclusion is very important. And what you have is the more people have some ability to buy it or have some need to get exposure to it, the more important it becomes. And part of the reason I believe that Dow Jones included it was because it had underperformed peers like NASDAQ or S&P by so much because they did not have these names. To me, what happens is you're going to get even more concentration in these seven names where so much wealth is held.
We're spending a lot of time talking about Magnificent Seven. We're just going to keep it going. New note from Goldman showing that hedge funds, they cut their exposure to the Mag 7 with the exception of Amazon during Q4. And they note divergent growth estimates and signs of extremes in the market. I want to go back to you when it comes to the whole Magnificent Seven, not just Nvidia. What are you seeing in the options market?
Look, what we continue to see in the options market is this call buying, this exuberance. Now, I want to be clear, this doesn't necessarily mean that people are actually quite bullish. I think what it could also mean is that people are losing their exposure, or maybe they're buying other things to widen the breadth of the market. They still want to, again, keep one toe in the water. One way to do that is options, because that way you could quickly participate in that upside if you need to. We think strategies like stock replacements, where you do sell some shares that have done quite well, replace them with calls, is one strategy to do that.
By the way, Amy, stock replacement, that is your WEX word of the day today. We're going to show the audience that. But with that in mind, how do you see stock replacement influencing this trading day ahead?
I think when you think about what the market gives you, this is the kind of trade that the market's giving you, meaning people are very over-concentrated. I would call them almost reluctant bulls when it comes to fundamentals and valuations. But again, they feel that need to participate. This is a way where you can offload some of your shares, still keep participation, but maybe also have more dry powder for something else that is more attractive because, you have a little bit more ammo when you're in calls as opposed to just the shares.
All right, Amy, we got to go, but you're saying right now when things go pear-shaped, you want to consider Canada. Give us the Canada play, the elevator pitch very quickly.
Quick pitch on elevator for Canada is that it tends to be a leading indicator in terms of downside, particularly in housing right now. That is why we're looking at ZEB, which is a proxy to play that through hedges. Obviously, hedges haven't worked in the U.S. We think they could work better in Canada.